Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
One of the hardest parts of getting older is feeling like something's off in your body, but not knowing exactly what. It's not just aging, it's often your hormones too. When they fall out of balance, everything feels off. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be the story of your next chapter. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is an herbal formula made with science-backed ingredients designed to fine-tune your hormones by balancing estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol. It helps with common issues such as hot flashes, poor sleep, low energy, bloating, and more. With over 40,000 reviews and a bottle sold every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. A survey found 86% of women lost weight, 77% saw an improved mood, and 100% felt like themselves again. Start your next chapter feeling balanced and in control. For a limited time, get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com with code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
And this is episode 356 of Wheel Bearings. I'm Sam Abul-Salmon from Guidehouse Insights.
And I am Nicole Wakeland from CarBuzz.
And I am Roberto Baldwin from SAE International.
And who wants to go first?
I didn't drive nothing, so I didn't.
Okay, I guess it's me.
But I got a car coming up this week, and I'm doing a lot of miles.
What do you have coming up this week? Tell us what.
I got the BMW i7. I'm driving to LA and back in it.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't know if BMW is aware of that.
Now they are.
I feel like I need to tell some. I'm like, does anyone need a ride to LA? Like, they can sit in the
well,
back
you
seat?
just told us, so you know.
Yeah, you too.
So if anyone need a ride from San Francisco to LA, and they
Rob,
can
would you
contact me in the past, because this podcast will come out in the future.
There you go.
Go to the time machine. I'll give you a ride in the BMW i7.
You'll get a ride if you can travel through time.
Or Bakersfield, or Fresno, somewhere along the way, around the route.
So,
What's in LA?
Yeah, what's in LA?
I'm going to talk to Kia for a video that I'm doing for SAE.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be good. Should be a good video. Doing a series of videos for SAE. You can go to the SAE International's YouTube channel. You can tell the videos are mine because they're really long.
Yeah.
And I'm standing and I'm pointing and talking.
Pointing and talking. Good job. Pointing and
There we
talking.
go.
Nicely done, Rob.
Pointing and talking. It's my job.
All right. Well, what have you been driving, Nicole?
I had one of my favorite little trucks. I had the Ford Maverick.
Yay.
Yeah, which is a fun little truck. And, I liked it. It's funny, the first time you drive a vehicle, and I remember doing the launch for this very vividly, sometimes you drive it and your impressions very much change over time. This one, my impressions have not changed at all. It continues to be just a great little truck. I love it. I love some of the details in it that just make it easy to live with. In fact, I was thinking about the doors that have the very huge, they have this kind of funky door handle so that you could put a gigantic, tall water bottle still in the door without it hitting the top of that.
That's the inside door handle.
On the inside door handle. On the inside door handle. And it was funny because when I sat down, I had like a coffee in my hand, a drink. I'm like, wait, I can put everything in here. I like shoved the big water bottle in.
Yeah.
Hey, it actually does come in handy. So I love the design things that they have done to make it not just like look cute or be kind of fun, but actually useful like that. I love useful things like how they've done those interior door handles. I love that you can remove the little bit that is in the center console. So if you get junk on it and crumbs or whatever, it's easy to clean stuff. And the Maverick is not a super expensive truck. It starts at about just over 23 and tops out just under 35. So you can get it kind of cheap. If you want to do kind of cheap, you can do that. I think that's kind of neat to have in a truck because when you get to full-size trucks, they get stupid expensive. They get stupid expensive very, very quick. It takes about 2 seconds to suddenly think, wait a minute, am I buying a truck or am I buying a house? And I appreciate
There's no such thing as a cheap full-size truck anymore.
There isn't.
Even the work trucks.
Right? Even if you're going with a work truck, you're spending a chunk of change. And I also think that there's so many people, like if you need a full-size truck, by all means, have at it, go buy one. But I think there's a lot of people who like the versatility of having a truck, having a bed for smaller stuff, having a little bit of towing, having a little bit without going crazy. Like crossovers let you do that with an SUV. Trucks like the Maverick let you do that with trucks. So I think it's a great solution for a lot of people. And I think that's why it's been pretty well received from what I've seen. People tend to like the Maverick. And the starting price, I mean, it was $23,290. So just over $23,000 can get you behind the wheel of this. And you do have two engines available. There's a gas and a hybrid. I have the gas engine, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder with 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, which is just fine. It's fine. This isn't a Raptor. It's out there trying to win races. It's not this crazy, powerful monster of a truck, but that's not why you buy this. You buy this because you want a little bit of truck versatility. You have smaller stuff that you want to be able to take with you. I always think it's such an overused term, but it's so accurate. You have an active lifestyle, and your active lifestyle may require you to have, right? They all say that, but it's exactly what this is for. You got like mountain bikes you want to put in the back, or you go camping a lot and you want to put camping equipment in the back, or maybe, I don't know, you need to put like soccer balls and stuff because you coach the little league team. Is it little league for soccer? Whatever. You coach a team of sports peoples. So I feel like
It's soccer.
Hitting tiny kids playing sports
tiny
ball.
kids who kick
Or
balls or throw balls, or
you can also throw a few bags of mulch in there.
You could throw a decent amount of mulch.
You can keep them separated because the Maverick is probably one of the most utilitarian vehicles available. It has all those little carve outs. I have all this wood still in my house that's cut exactly for the Maverick. So you can because I was doing a video for it. And every time I look at those pieces of wood, I'm like, man, I should have bought a
right?
Maverick.
Because what it does is, if you haven't heard of us talk about the Maverick before, in the back there's all these sort of little, like, in the bed, it's not just all the same. There's little sort of like cutouts, so you can put a 2x4 here, and you've now created a small section and a wide section, or you could stick two 2x4s on top of each other, and then a piece of plywood, and you can make it 2 levels across the bed. It's like it lets you do whatever you want to do. You can partition the back however you want, and you don't have to spend, like Robbie's got a whole bunch of pieces of wood chopped up.
Random pieces of wood that I have in my backyard, because that's the kind of nerd I am. I have a big pile of wood my wife's very mad about.
See, but you can if you buy the Maverick, all of this pile of wood is going to come in handy. But it's great because now you've got a pile of wood that didn't cost very much to buy, instead of buying really expensive official OEM accessories, which all that stuff, all those official bits to customize your rig.
Which Ford dealers would still be more than happy to sell you at a very high margin.
Correct. Exactly. You can buy it if you want it. You can buy all that stuff, but it's nice to not have to buy it and still be able to get that versatility without breaking the bank. And I think that's a fabulous thing to do in a truck. I think it's a nice way. And, this is the most affordable truck in the Ford lineup. So it's not the F-150. What's their truck trim? Platinum?
Yes.
King Diamond Platinum
Rainbow Raptor Ranch Edition, or whatever it is. It's not that. This is the one for normal people. So it's not super expensive. And if you don't have deep pockets, you can still really utilize your truck and really take advantage of the versatility of having that bed. I really like the Maverick. And I drove it into Boston, and I would not drive just any truck into Boston. Like, honestly, when I have a full-size truck, I don't take them to the airport, because that way lies madness, because it's hard to navigate them through a parking garage. You will inevitably end up next to another large vehicle in a corner against a post that takes up half your spot, and now you can't get your door open because there's exactly enough room for you to fit like a piece of paper between you and the post next to you, and you have to wedge yourself in it's like an 8,000 point turn to get yourself in there to begin with. Or you just take the Maverick, zip, and you're right in, you get out of your car and you go give it to
you can 3D print things for the interior.
Yes. Did you 3D print stuff? That feels very raw.
I did. I did. That was also for that video. I 3D printed stuff. And then I had a cup holder that I 3D printed. My neighbor has a friend who has a Maverick, and I kept seeing it. So finally I give the cup holder to my neighbor to take. But I was on it's there's a printer right there in my background.
I know, like you can literally see it behind them. Now, weren't they supposed to? I don't know, because I don't have a 3D printer. I'm not Robbie. Aren't they supposed to be doing a thing where they've released some of the 3D printer?
Yeah, there's a website where you can download instructions, like 3D printer models.
And can't you upload your stuff? Like, I thought the deal was supposed to be
there's like Thingiverse
and now here's guys like Robbie came up with this cool thing, and you can put your stuff so people could download it. No, did that happen?
The file Ford gave out was the actual file that like has it's not the key, it's the hole.
Okay.
Because when I was doing it, I was like, can you send me the FITS file? And they're like, oh yeah, hold on. Meanwhile, the community had just figured it out. The community just figured it out. So now the community is essentially, so just go to the community. Don't go looking for the files on Ford's website.
Okay, there you go. Just go to the
As
community.
Nicole said, there lies madness. Go to the community, the Ford Maverick community, and they have 3D files of like a ton of stuff of things that people have made for the Ford Maverick to 3D print at home. Or if you have a local library, a lot of libraries allow you to use their 3D printer. So, get a library card.
Don't you have to pay something because isn't the plastic stuff
probably
expensive?
For the paper or the no, it's not that expensive. The filament's not.
Like I literally remember going
a lot
to
of crazy things at libraries.
And they would like make you pay for every single paper. And if your project screwed up and you printed the paper wrong, it was like you just spent $85 to print things out, and it printed on the large legal paper and not the 8.5 by 11 paper. And now your entire project is screwed. No, that's not the case. Paper's free.
It depends on your actual library. There's a lot of stuff at libraries.
Depends how much taxes you're paying to support your local.
Apparently, my library in town was really stingy because we had to pay when you printed stuff out.
Yeah. So check with your local library. Like one of them, like the next county over, they have audio booths that you can just use, like for singing and podcasts and stuff.
You have fancy libraries in California.
So I'm gonna go. Yeah,
our libraries here in Ypsilanti are pretty awesome as well.
I have to be honest, I haven't been in a library in a long time. Ours,
you know what? To everybody out there, support your local library. There's an amazing array of stuff you can get from your library.
It's crazy.
Like, for example, most libraries have either Hoopla or Libby, or in some cases both, like my local library and Canopy, where you can download ebooks, to your Kindle or any other devices. You can download audiobooks. You can get movies, TV shows.
Yeah, Hoopla's great.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So there you go.
A lot of great stuff
went from a car review to a PSA for your local library.
They probably your local library and use your local library. Yeah, it is an amazing resource.
So now I'm going to go to the library sometime this week. Just
go to the library, yay!
And then if you need a shop manual for your car,
boom, library.
Good chance they have a copy of that too.
There you go. Okay, one last bit on the Maverick. So. What I didn't get you guys to guess destination. What are your?
Oh man, I'm gonna say $995.
Okay.
It's a Ford, so I'm gonna say $1,495.
You're way closer, Sam. It was $1,595.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, right.
First they raised the price, then they made the hybrid an option, and now
is ridiculous.
That is a lot for a $23,000 car.
Yeah, it is a lot, but that's a number.
That's excessive.
Yeah. So
what about all the money they're making off those F-150s? Couldn't they just sort of
apparently not enough?
Part of the way they make money on F-150s,
Ranch, Lightning, whatever,
charging $19.95 for delivery on those.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's whew, maybe don't get the Ford Maverick.
Now, you know what? It's still. But I mean, if
it's still a great
something new that has a lot of utility, it's still a great option, even at the somewhat elevated price. Yeah. And I guess for 2025, there's going to be a mid-cycle update, and there's going to be a whole bunch of things. Hopefully, they will finally add an all-wheel drive hybrid. Because right now you can only get the hybrid with front-wheel drive, and I mean this is the same platform architecture as the Bronco Sport and the Escape, which both offer all-wheel drive hybrids. And why they never have offered that on the Maverick up until now, don't know. But hopefully for 25 they will.
Nobody knows.
Upcoming things to look forward to.
Things to look forward to, I guess.
All right. Anything else on the Maverick?
No, that's it.
Favorite little trucklet?
Still my favorite little trucklet. It's a little trucklet. I like that.
It's really the best truck for most people. If you can't find a used Tacoma.
Yeah, go with the new Maverick trucklet.
Go with the new Maverick.
But you know what a Tacoma won't do? It won't get 40 miles per gallon.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, hybrid Maverick will do 40 miles per gallon.
I hauled a lot of rocks with that hybrid Maverick, and it was
Did you haul
totally
mulch?
fine.
I didn't haul mulch. I should have. It's the right season.
But I remember I have a picture of a lot of rocks that I took with that.
I hauled mulch, and I also. When I had one, I did a whole bunch of trimming of some trees in my yard. And so I hauled I took two loads full of cuttings to the township compost site.
There you go.
Dumped them off there instead of bagging them up like I would have to do if I wanted them just to be collected on my curbside. Because I used to be able to just put them curbside with the cut ends facing the street, and they would take them and throw them in the chipper. And they don't do that anymore. They won't take them unless you have them tied up or bagged up. So I just threw them in the back of the Maverick.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Buy a Maverick, or at least get a friend with one.
There you go. That's actually the best way to use a truck is
like a boat.
Yeah.
Find a friend with one.
Have a friend, be able to borrow a truck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I had the 2024 Fiat 500e Inspired or Inspired or however you're supposed to pronounce that.
It's red, the red version.
Yeah, it's the red one.
Is that really how you're supposed to say it?
If you look at the website, it's I don't know how you're supposed to say it.
I think it's Inspired. It's the red version of the vehicle. Like when you get a red phone or a red, it helps.
Product red.
I don't think I don't think my brain turned that's bad. What fonts or whatever? I don't think my brain ever tried to make a word out of it. I was like, I just saw the red.
I mean, it's all the letters that make up the word inspired, but they put parentheses around RED.
Yeah.
God,
so it is red. It's very red.
It is very red. Is this the red edition? Is that the one, or is this different?
Yes. Well, the one I had was red. You can also get it. The inspired or inspired or whatever you say it in white or black. But why would you do that? That would be a terrible idea.
I feel like if you get this car, you have to get red, or you're doing it wrong.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, any car, just don't buy white or black cars. Period.
Oh, please. I got a white car. I'm still sad about that.
Aw, I'm so disappointed in you, Robbie.
I know. I'm disappointed in the dealership for only offering white. I'm like, okay, no one wants these. That's why you're giving it to me. Fine.
Yeah, you get a deal, but you got to get white. Wah wah.
Yeah. Another reason to make sure that if you're going to get the 500, red is a very good option, is because the main reason to get the 500e is for the style. It's a very cute little car, and it's a continuing evolution of the 500 look, that going back to the old Cinquecento that came out in the mid 1950s. It's obviously much larger than those old Cinquecentos, but it's an evolution of the design of the previous generation. Still, you look at it, immediately this is a Fiat 500. So it's all about the style, because it certainly isn't about the value. The new generation 500e has a 42 kilowatt hour battery pack, lithium ion battery pack, which gives you a range of 149 miles. Now, this is a small car, which makes it really, really useful if you live in a dense urban area and you need to park it somewhere, because it's really easy to park. It's great for that. It's also something that you probably don't want to take a third and fourth passenger along with you. It's great for two people.
You could technically.
Terrible for four.
I mean, technically you can.
Yeah, I mean, there is a seat there with two seat belts.
Mm-hmm.
I technically stuck a human in the back of our 500 when we're releasing one. And technically we got them to their destination. They were pretzel.
But they weren't happy about it, I would assume.
They were going like, I can take
happy to get to the destination and get out of the back seat.
Yeah, they were
like, oh, hey, I'm going that direction. I was going to jump on Bart. I'll just go with you guys. And I think after 5 minutes, like, oh man, I should have gone. So get on public transportation, buddy.
But the reality is, most of the time people are in their cars. It's just them and one other person.
Mm-hmm.
And for an urban commuter car, it's perfect. It's just the right, it's a great size because it is so, so small. It's easy to park almost. You can certainly park this thing in the parking garage at Boston Logan Airport and have all kinds of spare room. You can open the doors wide open on both sides and not be trying to squeeze out past this thing.
Yeah, this is the perfect airport parking car. And then even special parking at Logan if you have an EV and you can charge for free.
Even better.
Ooh,
that's
right?
perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I did get a chance to briefly drive a 500e, not the inspired one. It was the I forget what it was. It was inspired by beauty. So they have 3 trim levels. They just inspired or inspired, inspired by beauty, and inspired by music. The the inspired is definitely felt a little more sporty than the inspired by beauty that I drove before. Because one thing I complained about with that one was that it seemed to have like literally no steering feedback. It was so over boosted that you turn the steering wheel and the car changed direction, but there didn't seem to be any mechanical connection that you could feel between the car changing direction and the angle of the steering wheel. This one is still a bit over boosted, but it felt much better to drive. So it's actually it's reasonably fun to drive. It's not quite as sprightly as the old 500e was. That one, felt a lot quicker, but it was also smaller. It had less battery. So it was quite a bit lighter. This one has like almost double the battery. I think the old one had 24 kilowatt hour battery. This one's 42. So it's a lot more battery. So it's more weight, but it's still a fun little car to zip around town in. You're not going to win any drag races against a Tesla, Model 3 or Model Y, but it's more than adequate performance. Top speeds 94 miles an hour, 117 horsepower, 162 foot-pounds of torque, and it's the interior, is also really cute. The dashboard panel is finished if you look at a lot of older cars that had metal dashboards, and often the metal dashboard would be painted the same as the body color. This is not a metal dashboard; it's a plastic dashboard, but the main part of the dashboard is finished to match the same red as the outside of the car. So it looks pretty cool. It's got a 10 1/4 inch center touchscreen and an instrument cluster display right in front of you. There's a little cubby hole. There's a row of switches below the screen for climate control, and then there's a little cubby hole underneath that has a Qi wireless charger in there. You get some more buttons on the steering wheel, so it's all quite well organized and easy to use. You're not going to go searching around for the functions that you use most of the time. On the center console, there is there's 3 switches. There's a rocker switch for the drive mode. There's a little roller for audio volume, and then there's the electronic park brake switch. And for me, I was not crazy about the way the seats felt for my body. But again, this is one, we've said this before. When you buy a car, make sure you sit in it before you buy it. Go drive it a little bit. Make sure, because everybody's body is different.
I sat in it. I felt it was fine when I sat in it.
Yeah. So, it's entirely, it's a very personal thing. Nobody's bodies are the same shape. So try it out. Make sure it fits your body and you're comfortable with it. It wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't the most comfortable seat I've sat in recently for me.
Yeah.
So, I could certainly live with it. The only thing really that I was not enamored with was the price tag. So this is kind of the base model 500e, and it's $34,095.
That is the problem with this cute little car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think right here on the site, it starts at 32, which means it's going to be, other things.
You want to take a guess at the destination charge?
$995.
Oh, $1,595.
He's right.
Right on. $1,595.
Oh, wow, exactly.
$1,595. It weighs like 12 pounds.
Like another part of it, did the cup holder drive you nuts?
Oh, the cup holder is horrible.
Because I know Robbie mentioned it during
it folds down the front, and then if you stick a cup in it that's just the same size as the cup holder, as you pull it up, where it
it closes itself.
How it feels. It's trying to close while you're pulling up, so your cup gets stuck in it. It's like a finger trap for your soda for your. I remember it's very frustrating.
I remember that.
They have a little spot in the center console. We're like, well, you could just put a cup holder here.
No, we're going to give you this wonkety cup holder because Italian. I don't know why they did that.
Exactly, because Italian.
Sam, did you experience the?
I did not even think to use the cup holder. I completely forgot.
Nice. It was a good thing.
Yeah. But driving it was quite pleasant to drive. Even though it's only 150-mile range. I had to drive it from my house to Sterling Heights, which is it was like 56 miles. I was going to a product briefing that can't talk about for a few more weeks. And 50 it's 56 miles each way, and still had 30% charge left in the thing when I got back, and I was driving almost all highway miles, so driving 70-ish miles per hour, and had the air conditioning on, so that 149 miles is very doable in terms of real world range. It's Uconnect 5, same as most other modern Stellantis products. It's got wireless Android Auto and CarPlay support. You got USB-C ports to charge your stuff along with that wireless Qi charger. So, if what you want is an electric urban commuter with an overdose of style, but somewhat unbalanced away from value, Fiat's got you covered. Yeah, not a great value, but definitely a very nice little car.
That's the thing. It's such a cute, fun little car. It's hard not to like it, and then you almost feel a little bad. It's like, oh, but you're so expensive. Oh, I really love you, but
a Mini E is comparable. It's in the same price range, and at least the previous generation, the new one should have better range, more along the lines of this one. But the old one was only 114 miles of range, I think. So
I got to 120. The Mini
with the Mini
test. Yeah, I love that car. The 500e, I really like the 500e, but the Mini E, that was a great little car to drive around. It was so much more. It was more fun than the 500.
Yeah, it was definitely.
I'm like, you know what? If they have a car, and they didn't put it on lease until it's last year, because they're like, we're not making enough of them anyway, so we're not going to lease them. But now you can get one on lease because the other one's eventually coming. 2026, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I would definitely. Well, who knows when it's going to come, because I think right now they're building them in China. So I think they
got to build them in the UK. That factory doesn't open to 26 or late 25.
Yeah. So that's the Fiat 500e. Very cute little car, and electric.
Maybe they'll have a lease for it.
Smartphones have gotten way more expensive over the past decade, and all it takes is one impact on a hard floor to make you wish you had spent a few bucks to put a case on it. Going online without ExpressVPN is like not having a case for your phone, and it only costs a few dollars a month. Nicole, Robbie, and I travel a lot for our work, and we spend a lot of time in hotels, coffee shops, airplanes, and of course the Delta Sky Club. Connecting to the Wi-Fi in any public places with shared Wi-Fi puts your data at risk, because bad actors could be intercepting what you send and using it to steal from you. It only takes some cheap hardware to intercept Wi-Fi data, and even a smart preteen can do it. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per victim selling personal information on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops the bad guys by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. ExpressVPN uses state-of-the-art encryption that would take a supercomputer up to 1 billion years to crack. I have ExpressVPN on all my devices, including a MacBook Pro, Windows laptops and desktops, and Android and iOS phones and laptops, or tablets. When I want to be secure, I just launch the app, click once to connect, and my data is secure. As I said, I travel a lot for my work, and I have to connect to countless public Wi-Fi networks in many countries. I have ExpressVPN on all my connected devices so that whoever else is on the same network can't see any of my data. That's important because I often have to check banks, credit card accounts, and transmit client data that might be sensitive, as well as filing articles on news that might be under embargo. ExpressVPN protects all of it, and I've been paying for my own account for years. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/wheelbearings. That's expressvpn.com/wheelbearings, and you can get an extra 4 months for free. expressvpn.com/wheelbearings.
Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
One of the hardest parts of getting older is feeling like something's off in your body, but not knowing exactly what. It's not just aging, it's often your hormones too. When they fall out of balance, everything feels off. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be the story of your next chapter. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is an herbal formula made with science-backed ingredients designed to fine-tune your hormones by balancing estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol. It helps with common issues such as hot flashes, poor sleep, low energy, bloating, and more. With over 40,000 reviews and a bottle sold every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. A survey found 86% of women lost weight, 77% saw an improved mood, and 100% felt like themselves again. Start your next chapter feeling balanced and in control. For a limited time, get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com with code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. So, if you're on Instagram, I definitely recommend there's you follow the General Motors Design account, because for the last year and a half, they've been posting a lot of cool images from the archives, from the GM design archives. A lot of images of stuff that never quite got built. And last week I was browsing through my Instagram and stumbled across a set of images that they posted of a Pontiac G8. But it's not the G8 that sold here for a few years. It was built in Australia by Holden, which was basically a Holden Commodore, which was in turn, an Opel Omega. This was a concept for a next generation G8, which presumably might have been built here in the States. And did you guys take a look at these pictures? And
it's cool. I've been in this studio. I'm like, hey, this one looks familiar. They have not changed much about this.
No,
at all.
Well, I mean, I think these are old photos, so these are probably from about 2008.
But I was there last year, and it all looks exactly the same.
Oh, it still looks the same? Okay.
I'm sure there's been some changes, but
studios don't usually change that much over time until they build new ones. Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been cool if that had been it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty awesome looking design.
Too awesome for America.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's what's interesting. There's a lot of the Pontiac Solstice in this. It's kind of like a larger 4-door Solstice. Kind of a fastback design. So sort of a 4-door coupe. That a much more practical version of the Solstice. Very similar rear tail lights. and similar grille to the Solstice. It's a shame they never got a chance to build this one.
It would have. What do you think? Do you think people would have liked it? Do you think it would have sold well?
I don't think it would have sold well.
You don't? Why not? Too cool?
American people don't like things that are too cruel, too crazy.
Okay, you know what? Wait a minute. I've just clicked through these pictures. Are you on the Instagram page right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at the rendered one.
2, 3, the clay model picture. The first, it's like I think it's the fourth picture in. This is from 2008, right?
Yeah.
The guy that's standing in that picture.
That guy, he's killing it, man.
He's killing it. It's like it looks like he's got like jean shorts on that are like down to his knees.
He does. It's the style of the time. He had jean shorts and some onions tied to his belt, as was the style of the time.
Right? I mean, he's pretty cool there. I'm like, wow, that's 2008 right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it would have sold very well.
You don't?
I see like really cool, like crazy stuff, and then just no one buys it.
You know what it is? I feel like it either would have been right. You're right, Robbie. Not sold at all. It would have been an absolute dud, or for reasons unbeknownst to us, the people would have loved the design and it would have sold like nobody's business. You know, sometimes those weird sort of out there designs.
I think they were burned by the Aztec.
When did the Aztec come out? What year was Aztec?
2001.
Oh, it was
2001. Wow, so long ago.
It was pretty early 2000s.
So it was still pretty close to that, though. If this was 2008, it still might have been suffering the
that's a bummer.
Pitfall.
I think it's cool, but I don't know if it would have.
I like it. I think it looks kind of neat. I honestly don't like it. I would consider this. It looks
cool. Trying to get people to buy cool things. And that's because you're just like, everyone buy it. They're like, oh, this is super cool. And then when it comes down to it, they're like, oh, I don't want to. I'm not cool enough to be. I'm not cool enough to be weird. That sort of thing.
Not cool enough to be weird. Well, not cool enough to pull that off.
I mean, this concept was built in 2008, but before they ever got a chance to show it publicly. Or even, consider building a production version, the Pontiac brand was killed during the course of the GM bankruptcy.
That has to be so hard. As I'm picking on Shorts Guy, I'm sorry, your very cool looking car never actually got a chance. That has to be hard for the people. You know, when companies go belly up, it's like not enough for the
Pontiac as the EV brand. That's what they should have done.
That could have worked.
Yeah,
instead of that Hummer for reasons.
I know, right? Let's go with
bring back the Fiero.
All right.
That's enough of Robbie.
So last week, a couple times a year, Cox Automotive does a half-year update. So Cox is part of the larger Cox conglomerate that owns the cable company and a whole bunch of businesses. And Cox Automotive is also in turn owns a whole bunch of businesses like Mannheim Auctions, and they do a lot of stuff with dealers. They build dealer management systems, things like that. So they have access to a lot of interesting data about sales and leasing and everything else around the retail side of the automotive industry. And so, they do these mid-year updates a couple times a year. And the most recent one that they did last week, there was some interesting data points in here. Like, for example, year over year, through May of this year, through the first 5 months of 2024, compared to 2023, leasing was up 30%. While purchases were down about 3%. And then, there's some rentals and commercial.
That's my fault. Sorry. I keep telling people to lease EVs. Sorry about that.
But, I was on the call about this, and I asked, and they said, they acknowledged that most of the increase in leasing came from people leasing EVs, because so few of the EVs that are on the market are eligible for the IRA tax credits. People, but you can get the tax credit if you lease. So that's why there's such an increase in leasing. And in fact, as an example of that, the story we were talking about last week with Casey Liss from the Accidental Tech podcast and his catastrophic engine failure in their Volvo XC90. He turns out the insurance company actually agreed to cover that. And they totaled the car because the cost of a new engine was so much that, they wrote off the car, and they're paying him a nice chunk of change. And so he and his wife were shopping for a new vehicle. And they ultimately decided that they really liked the XC90 and they wanted to stick with that. And so they're getting another XC90. But this time, instead of the T6, they're getting the T8, which is the plug-in hybrid, because it turns out that after you and they're going to lease it initially, and then with Volvo and some other manufacturers now, they're doing you can, after 3 months into a lease, if you want, they'll let you buy it out. So they calculate the lease based on incorporating the $7,500 tax credit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you factor in the $7,500 tax credit, the plug-in hybrid is only about $2,000 more than the standard B6 version of the XC90. So the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. And, you get 32, 33 miles of electric range. And, his wife is the main user of that car, and they only drive about 20 miles a day usually. So they'll be able to do most of their driving on electricity alone. And they're leasing it specifically because they can get that tax credit, even though it's not, the XC90 is not built in North America.
Yeah.
Get those leases, y'all.
Yeah, it does make the lease very appealing.
They in this update, they also had a bunch of some other data. They had some survey data that they had done, and the as expected, the biggest reasons for people holding back on purchasing a vehicle, number one, interest rates, high interest rates.
They're so high.
Yeah,
it's so difficult. That's what when you get the lease, you're like, all right, well, I got the lease.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. That the interest rate thing just kills you if you're trying to buy right now.
Yeah, 60% of respondents said they were holding off on buying a vehicle because of interest rates. So, hopefully, one of these days they'll finally start to lower interest rates, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, every time I listen to Marketplace with Kai Rizdal, I'm always like, okay, I kind of understand this. Wait, what? It's like, well, the Fed, the interest rates have to be high to slow down runaway inflation, but we've lowered inflation, so now inflation is going down, but we're keeping the interest rate high until the interest rate goes around, the inflation rate goes down even more. It's like, what?
It's all very complex. Yeah. If this, then that. It's like 50 of them. 50 if this is, then that's.
Yeah. Like, man, I had a friend who was an economy major, and I was just like, what? And he's like, oh, no. So, dude, I'm like, forget it. Just forget it.
Stop. Don't talk to me about it.
Don't talk to me anymore. None of this makes any sense in the real world.
Also, 54% of people who are currently EV skeptics say that 3 to 5 years from now is the right time to purchase an EV. Mm-hmm. So the second half of the decade, a lot of these people are actually intending to, at that point, buy an EV, based on
that sounds very believable.
Lower prices.
People are getting used to it. Range. People are getting used to the idea of EVs. More and more, like the early adopters have had them for a while. Now you're non-early adopter.
They know somebody with one.
Yeah. So they're getting less. The idea of making the switch is getting less and less scary all the time. So in another 3 to 5 years, it's not going to be a scary switch at all.
Yeah, the infrastructure should be much better at that point. I think there's a lot that happens in the next 3 to 5 years that makes EVs just like almost a no-brainer at some point for a lot of people. Again, it's like the cell phone thing. Remember when only like a few people had cell phones?
Yes.
Then like more regular people had them, and you're all kind of like, I don't know, I'm never going to get one of those. Now, if you don't have a cell phone, you're the weirdo.
I remember the first of my friends who got an iPhone, and it's like, I'm not getting that stupid thing, Joe. Nobody's getting that. You just get things because you're weird, Joe. No, Joe's right. Everyone
whatever, man. Whatever.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
But a lot of people. But there was a time that was like weird.
Smartphone. I think it was the smartphone.
Okay.
You can say Android if you want. Don't get all bent out of shape because you picked the wrong platform.
I did not pick the wrong platform. I picked the right platform for me.
Exactly. Get with the thing that you like for you.
Yes.
Just like with cars. Get the one that you like for you.
Get the one that fits you.
Man, I used to cover BlackBerry. I used to cover RIM. I would get all the BlackBerries, and I'm like, these are kind of cool, but no one would make software for them. So I was like, oh. So I have BlackBerries if anyone wants one.
I think we have a journalist who uses BlackBerries, had to give his up and was horrified. Ken? Do you know, he had one. And it broke when it finally broke. Like, it was being held together with like spit and Scotch tape. And when it finally gave up, I swear to God, I thought the man was going to cry.
Where is my BlackBerry?
Well, I think at this point, I think most of the true BlackBerries were all 2G phones anyway, so they wouldn't work anymore anyway.
Those ones are dead. I got one of the latest ones somewhere. I used to use it for DEF CON because no one's gonna hack a BlackBerry. BlackBerry was my burner phone. I would just walk around, click, 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 click.
They were so cool.
All right, next up, we've talked.
There's a puppy.
Quiet, Daisy. We've talked previously about the new rules that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration published for automatic emergency braking systems to make them, to mandate that they actually be effective and do something useful. And last week, the automakers trade group, which is the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, I think, published a response to NHTSA, pushing back, saying, "Oh, this is not practical. We can't do this. It's not. We can't do this. It's going to be too hard." It's absolutely doable from a technical.
You can't
standpoint.
say we can't do this, but then also say we're working on level 3 autonomy. You can't one with that. You can't say, yeah, we can totally make level 3 autonomy, but we can't make cars stop when they detect something at speed. You can't have it both ways, guys.
Yeah, this is one of the quotes it pulled. Was it saying that it would be automatically applying the brakes far in advance of what a typical driver and others would expect, which could result in rear end collisions. Theoretically,
if everybody's got AEB,
then you're not having rear end collisions.
As soon as one car starts to slow down, you know what's going to happen? The one behind it's going to start to slow down.
You and your logic, Sam. Stop it.
Don't tailgate. How about that?
Right?
Yeah. There's an idea.
The second part is it also argued that NHTSA, quote, vastly underestimated the necessary and costly hardware and software change required for vehicles to comply. Ding, 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 ding. There's our problem.
You mean radar?
It's pricey.
You can't do it with just a 1.2 megapixel camera. Yes, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
You will need some additional sensors, but you know what? That's a good thing. We should have those sensors
by 2029.
Yeah,
we got a little time.
You got some time, y'all.
But now one of the there's now, because thanks to the U.S. Supreme Court, this may not ever actually come to pass anyway. Because their decision, their ruling last week in the overturning the Chevron case from 40 years ago that required courts to defer to regulatory agencies and their expertise has been overturned, and so now it's going to be a lot easier, for any regulations to be pushed back and overturned by courts friendly to various industries that don't want to follow
what the experts know.
I know.
What do people who've been doing this their entire career, what do they know compared to a judge?
Yeah.
It's that, by that logic, like auto engineers should be allowed to dictate like laws. This is how laws work here. What do you mean? I'm an automotive engineer. I haven't done any law schooling, but I got some good ideas.
That's essentially what Express last night. Would that be good enough? Wasn't that the commercial?
Yeah.
Do anything?
Yeah.
You do anything.
Rivian and Volkswagen announced a new partnership a few days ago.
This is probably the best thing that's ever happened to Volkswagen.
Absolutely. And to Rivian. Yeah. I want to go on the record before we even start. I said years ago that Volkswagen need to buy a better route planner, because a better route planner is a great route planner for getting from point A to point B. And I said an automaker should buy it, and it probably should be Volkswagen because they're having problems with software. And instead of doing that, they had to buy the company that bought a better route planner. Yeah. Yeah, Rivian, for those who don't know, bought a better route planner, and they are integrating it into their navigation system now. Although it is also still available to download for your iPhone and on the web. But
I'm using it for the I-7 drive when I go down south.
There you go. Plan out where all your stops are going to be, so you can.
It tells you. It gives you like it gives you like a little percentage, like how well each station is.
Yeah,
like 70% up, 60% up.
Well, and Rivian's been adding to that using data from their drivers, getting ratings from their driver, from Rivian owners about the stations, so collecting both telemetry data, but also getting ratings from actual users about the quality of various stations. And so they will, a better route planner will take that into account in making its recommendations about where you should stop.
Yeah, it's pretty. It even says data from Rivian in the little thing where it tells you like the one stop I'm going to do on the way to. Actually, I'm going to Tehachapi on the way, then to LA. But yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to say I was smart once. Once in my life, I was smart. The rest of the time, it's just nonsense coming out of my mouth. But this one time,
just this one time.
So Volkswagen and Rivian have agreed to a partnership that could eventually see up to $5 billion from Volkswagen moving towards Rivian. So it starts off, they're forming a joint venture, which will develop electronic and electrical architectures for vehicles and the software platform. And Rivian is contributing all the IP for that. So basically what they're going to do is take the stuff that they've already done for the updated R1 that we talked about, over the last couple of weeks. So zonal architecture and their software stack. And then they're going to contribute that to this joint venture company. Volkswagen's going to put in $1 billion in capital for the joint venture company. And then as that company develops, updated versions of that will get used in new Volkswagen vehicles in the coming years. And Volkswagen is also putting $1 billion of an equity investment into Rivian directly. And they also have an agreement, if Rivian hits certain milestones over the next couple of years, Volkswagen will put in up to $2 billion more, as well as another $1 billion into the joint venture. So $5 billion in total. And Volkswagen ends up with a hardware and software stack that will enable them to actually do OTA updates reliably, as Rivian does. Have a good, pretty solid software stack. And the one thing that is excluded from that is the ADAS and automated driving stuff that Rivian's been developing. That's not part of the software that's going to be in the joint venture. Rivian's keeping that part to themselves. But that's okay because Volkswagen is already using Mobileye's equivalent of the same thing. And so they will use Mobileye stuff on the Rivian software platform. And, hopefully that will result in working software-defined vehicles multiple years before Cariad could have gotten it done. And probably more reliable.
That whole Cariad debacle is just... you're the problem with the traditional OEMs is that they have so much baggage, and you bring people in, and it's a lot of Whereas Rivian's like they got nothing, they got to prove everything, and so I don't know. I'm excited because this is that R2 is gonna. We're pretty much guaranteed the R2 now because of this money, and the next version of the ID Buzz will have a nicer software stack.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
When someone like me can actually buy one in 10 years.
Maybe by then they will actually have introduced the ID Buzz to North America.
I know.
One can only hope.
It's summertime. They're supposed to show us. I guess we have till the end of the summer.
Yeah.
It's been a year now. It's been over a year since they showed it off at Huntington Beach. That little thing popped up on my phone like 1 year ago today, and it's just a bunch of...
I know, I saw it. I'm like, it was a year and we still haven't gotten it.
Owning a boat comes with a number of perks, like being able to say, ahoy, or land ho, and not feel weird about it. So here's another perk. Geico's boat insurance offers access to the largest towing fleet on the water. And with specialist support from agents that are as passionate about boating as you are, there's so much value that you'll want to say, shiver me timbers, and not feel weird about that either. Get more with Geico.
So have you looked at the new BMW M5?
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
Wait, I did. I have.
Oh, wait, no, I have.
Yeah, you have. You must have.
Yeah, I have. Sorry.
So, it's obviously based on the new 5 Series with essentially the powertrain from the BMW XM. So twin turbo V8 plug-in hybrid. But, this thing is really heavy. And even with 717 horsepower and 738 pounds-feet of torque, it takes 0 to 60. Takes 3.4 seconds.
Yeah, it's a little slower than the last one, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I think slower. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the old one was about 3.1 or 3.2.
Mm-hmm. So it got but it's still not like we say got slower. It's not like it's suddenly a snail.
No,
it's still a fast slow.
Yeah, but
fast slow.
I think it's got about 25 miles of electric range, something like that. $120,000 starting point.
Cheap. You could buy how many? You could buy like 4 Mavericks or one of these.
Or you can just get the i5.
Yeah, the i5 M60.
Yeah.
Be cheaper, nearly as fast, and probably arguably, I think probably more fun to drive.
But this is a pretty car. I like this green. I don't know. There's a couple of different greens in the lineup.
The green's really nice.
Green. I don't know which one this is, but the green they have in the press release is sweet. I like it.
Yeah, it is an excellent color.
Mm-hmm. It's a fabulous color. But I think you have there's 10 colors plus 150 others that you can pick from.
I feel like the kidney grill's too small.
You think it's too small?
I think they should just grow it. There's all this space underneath. They could really just lean into the size of that kidney grill.
Use the kidneys
from get angry letters
from the X7.
Yeah, don't make it big again, will you? Robbie, stop it. You said lease, everyone leased. Don't tell BMW to make it again because it won't be your fault.
Please ignore me. Please ignore me, BMW.
So do you remember, I think it was at Pebble Beach last summer, a new company that apparently or at least claims to own the rights to the DeLorean name, introduced an electric GT car, which in all likelihood will probably never be produced. But
how many people have owned a DeLorean name? Is the DeLorean name like the Saab name? It just keeps getting
pretty much,
kicked down the road.
Yeah. It's like I'm done with it. Next.
Well, there actually were several thousand real DeLoreans built in the early 1980s, so they do exist. I see them at car shows and the Woodward Dream Cruise and stuff like that all the time.
I had a friend who had one, and he said the problem was he couldn't go through the drive-thru with it. He's like, "This is because the windows were too tiny, and you can't open the door in the drive-thru."
Oh, yeah,
that was his big complaint.
With those original DeLoreans from 40 odd years ago, there's a UK firm called Electrogenic that is now doing electric resto mods on them, turning to pulling out the old Peugeot, Renault, Volvo V6, which made more noise than horsepower, and putting in an electric powertrain with a 43 kilowatt hour battery, which is about the same as you get in the Fiat 500e, by the way. 215 horsepower, which is quite a bit more power than that V6 originally made. And I think it's about 150 mile range. And you can
even further than you could probably go with that. I knew someone who had a DeLorean. He was his daily driver. He took it to work every day. So I'll be nice.
So it's available now. And let's see, prices depend on the condition of the donor car. So you have to bring your own car.
Okay.
But the conversion costs between 65 and 85,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of monies.
You could buy a really nice brand new EV for that kind of money.
Yeah. But then you have a DeLorean.
It wouldn't be a
if
DeLorean.
You're rich,
you have money to burn
with your money. Yeah, I guess if you're if you're gonna do something, might as well make it DeLorean an electric car.
Like, why the heck?
And then you can add that sound that it makes in the movie.
Oh, it does make its own funky kind of sound in the movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has a different sound in the movie. It sounds like an electric car.
It does. Which we didn't know at the time, but
all right. Remats. You guys familiar with the Remats Navara, right?
Yeah.
Crazy fast Croatian built electric hypercar.
Yes.
Well, Remats is going in a little different direction now. They have the founders have created an offshoot company called Vern that is developing a 2-seat electric robotaxi.
It's weird looking.
I like they name it Vern because they don't have the collective memory of Hey Vern.
I think it looks like a doorstop.
I was thinking it might be named for Jules Verne.
It is named for Jules Verne. But it's I like the idea that you get in the car and you can be like, Hey Vern.
Yeah.
Hey Vern. Hey Vern.
Everyone old like me will remember, and older.
I remember that.
Yeah, hey Vern.
I didn't think of that until you said it, but once you did, now that's what I'm thinking.
I've ruined the Jules Verne vehicle. A robotaxi, yeah, sure.
So the plan is to launch these in Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia, starting in 2026. That's actually not that far from where I was born. It's about
really?
Yeah, it's about 60, 70 miles from where I was born.
Wow.
Where were you born? Were you born in Croatia?
I was born in Slovenia.
I don't think I realized that.
Slovenia is a very small country, and Croatia is not that much larger.
They're like counties essentially but countries.
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
like California-sized counties.
I'm pretty sure there are counties in California that are larger, and there are certainly quite a few cities in the United States that have a greater population than Slovenia or Croatia. Slovenia is only about 2 million people.
Oh, that's not too
bad. But yeah,
they're learned something today.
Yeah, they're using the Mobileye Drive system, which is a pretty solid level 4 automated driving system. It's the same thing that Volkswagen opted to use after Argo AI collapsed, and it's being used by various other companies as well. So radar, LiDAR, and cameras, and this is a 2-seater. No controls, no human controls, so no steering wheel, no pedals, but there is a big screen in there, and it's got sliding doors, so easy to get in and out of.
Does it?
That's smart.
Oh
yeah. They said they slide forward, which is I guess cool because the controls are on the right. I guess you got to put a code in to get into your car, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably, or use the app like you do with a Waymo or Cruise.
Yeah.
And then there's a hatchback, so you can put your stuff in the back. If you got your groceries or whatever else you're taking along with you.
Looks comfy. There's like a little footrest situation. Rest. That's nifty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with all of these robo-taxis, we'll see.
Yeah.
What happens?
One of these days, maybe.
One of these days. Pow. Right into an emergency vehicle.
Yep. All right. Volvo EX30. Were you guys excited about the EX30 coming to the US?
Yeah, I know somebody who had one on order, and they got that email.
They got the email that they're gonna have to wait a while.
Last week, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I think we kind of figured this was probably going to happen when the Biden administration increased the tariffs on Chinese-built EVs to 100%, which would, considering the EX30 was supposed to have a starting price of $37,000, putting 100% tariff on that,
it's more. It's more money.
A lot more money.
It's gonna be a little bit
more money.
At $50,000, at $37,000, the EX30 is an awesome little car.
Mm-hmm.
At $50,000, I would have a really hard time justifying it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a dash cluster.
Yeah, so Volvo was that already had plans to add. It's currently in production in China for the Chinese market, and they had plans to add production at their factory in Ghent, Belgium. Well, now the U.S. launch of the EX30 is going to be put off until sometime later in 2025, at the earliest, when they can start building them in Ghent. But even for the versions of the EX30 that are available in the UK right now, or at least in the UK, probably all of Europe, they've also stopped sales of it because of, guess what?
Software?
Yeah.
Was there a software issue? Is that what made them stop selling it?
There was software issues. Yep.
You know who has software for sale? Rivian. I'm just.
They might be able to help you out.
Rivian's like, we have a market cap of $20 gazillion because everyone just keeps investing $1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently the screens have been going black, steering wheel buttons stopped responding.
Oh, jeez.
And cars are not charging. So,
ooh. Yeah. Well, the screen's going black. You're like, well, now I don't know what's happening. And
well, they already had to delay the production launch of the EX90 and Polestar 3 by 9 months because of software problems they were having on that platform. And this is a different platform, but it's still Volvo doing this. And so, yeah, not great.
Software
Volvo, they're having troubles,
hard.
man.
Yeah.
Software is hard. Say it again and again and again. It's very, very hard.
So, Nicole, last week you went halfway around the world.
I did.
Did you see anything interesting?
Well, yes.
Did you eat anything interesting? I don't care about your.
What did you eat in Korea?
I ate a lot of fancy food in Korea. I think they couldn't identify. Okay, so I had one really weird thing. It was this acorn thing. It was the one woman's favorite thing. There was one of the Korean women who was helping us out from Kia, and she took this restaurant to this kind of place you go, not like when you want to go fancy Korean food. It's like Korean comfort food kind of thing. I said, okay. And it looked like, it made you think of tofu kind of, but it was slightly different color. And I was like, what's that? And she said, well, the translation is not attractive, but you have to try it. But technically it translates into acorn jelly. I'm like, acorn jelly doesn't sound very good, right? It doesn't sound
I don't know. If someone said, hey, you want some acorn jelly? I'd be like,
so
why not?
And she said it was one of her favorite things. And I thought, oh, okay. And I tried, it's really good. And she put some
everything in Korea is good.
It was so good. Everything. There was nothing I tried. The only thing I didn't like, they have squid. I'm not a big squid fan. If it's like seasoned with stuff, but when it's just like, here, have a squid. I'm like, no, step too far.
No. All right.
The only thing where I think I would probably draw the line is at live lobster.
Oh, when they're alive. I don't know if I could do that. I don't want anything alive. I want things
less
grilled, boiled, whatever, but not live.
Yeah, no, live lobster would not work for me.
What's going on back there? No.
Yeah. So
anyway, I guess now we can talk about the cars.
Now we can talk about cars. Now that I talked about the acorn jelly, it was very, very tasty. So I went because they invited several of us from the Women's World Car of the Year, Worldwide Car of the Year jury to present. They were the supreme winner for the EV9. It won the biggest and bestest award that we offer. So they asked us to come out to Korea to present them with a physical award at the Busan Auto Show, which is Korea's big auto show. It was really cool. Like, it's a really neat auto show. The thing that was a little bit weird is, like, it's a small country. So even though it's a very big auto show for them, it wasn't physically a large auto show for us. It was, and I think it wasn't quite as big as.
Have you been to the Detroit Auto Show recently?
Yeah.
Right. Snap. Have you been to Geneva? Have you ever been to the Geneva show?
I've never been to the Geneva show.
I love the Geneva show because it was small.
So tiny. So that was the kind of cool thing, like, depending on your point of view about this. So it had the whole Hyundai Motor Group. There was Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis were all there. And then it was BMW, Renault, Mini. That was it. Nobody else chose to go. So it was very, very small. So they had some reveals. But what they were showing was mostly stuff that we have already seen. It was sort of like the debut there of some of these vehicles. The only thing that I saw for the first time in person that was really, really, really cool was the EV3. I got to see the EV3 live and up close, and it looks great. I mean, it's sort of one of those, like, not surprised, exactly what I thought it would be, just as good, just as expected.
Tiny EV9.
Tiny EV9. It's like, take the EV9 and squish. I really liked it. I thought it was great. But then the fun thing that I saw that we don't get, and I loved this little car. It was from Hyundai. It was the Casper Electric. So they already have the Casper, apparently, which is like a gas vehicle. Now they're doing the Casper Electric. I want you in your head to stereotype everything cute about Korean culture, all the cuteness of it. This is that car. It was so cute. In fact, on the C-pillar, the handle isn't one of those handles that opens that's like set down in the door, like hand height. It's up higher, so you open it like it's a handle that opens sideways. It's horizontal, vertical instead of horizontal like most door handles. Right by the handle, there's this tiny little smiley face. It makes me think of like a Tamagotchi or something. It's sort of that's Casper. That's the car. It's Casper.
We have smiley faces on our car.
A little happy smiley on the side of your car when you open the rear door.
I won't buy it just because of that smiley face.
I would buy it just because of it. I'm like, what's your car? The one with the smiley face on it? That's mine.
The one with the little smiley face.
Look at it. Super tiny car, not at all even remotely intended for our market. It's the size of a roller skate. No one would buy it here. It makes the Fiat 500e look unwieldy. I mean, it's tiny. But it was really fun to get to see it in person. Did you just look it up? No.
You can fold the front seats down flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't it cool? Is it not the coolest thing? It goes in the you can't have nice things category. That was like, it was really neat to see that. It was so neat to see it. And again, none of this is secret because it was part of their auto show and they did their big reveals and everything. But it was funny. They gave us little translation devices, but there was a different one for each automaker's debut. So you had one for Kia, and you had one for Genesis. And somehow the one that I had at Hyundai for this was not working. So I'm like, well, okay, I got nothing. I'm like, Casper. Oh, okay. And I'm like trying to figure out. I'm like, oh, it's I'm like, oh, it's a smiley face. Oh, the seat's full. Like I literally was clueless the whole press conference trying to figure out what was happening. But it's a very cute car. I thought it was fun. And it did make me really sad that it's like one of those things like they showed to you and it is never coming to the U.S. It is not a U.S. market vehicle. It's not for us. But if you want to,
it should be though.
Isn't it cute? Do you think we'd sell it though? Do you think anyone would buy it here? I didn't catch what the range was because I couldn't understand anything. But I don't know that it would actually sell if they brought it here. That's
the problem is that a lot of people are like, oh, I love this car. I want to have this car. I want this car. But we're so programmed in this country to like buy for the edge case.
Yes.
We are so programmed that just me and my one child are going to need a 3-row SUV because eventually that child's going to like play baseball or something. And baseballs are very big. Bats. You ever seen a bat?
I mean, how are you going to fit a bat? You need an F1.
The automakers have done an outstanding job of making us think that we need something for something that's not probably going to happen. So
that was my
Mini did well. That's the thing. Is that the Mini did well, but it's a niche vehicle, and so you have to really lean in. You can't try to like sell to everyone. You have to lean in really hard with those vehicles.
So
and even then, not expect to sell more than 20,000 units.
It's not going to sell a lot. I bet they'll sell a ton in Korea. So that was really cool to see. So I saw some neat stuff that you can't see in the US that's really fun. And then I got to talk to, and I'm going to mutilate his name, and I'm just going to apologize to everyone, including the folks from Kia. He is the vice president and head of Kia Next Design Group. I believe it's Tekkoun, Teckkoun, Kim. I talked to him. He sat down and talked to us, and he was the one that we presented the award to. And he talked to us about the design of the vehicle. And it was fascinating listening to him talk about how they came up with the things that they did, and even how the star map lighting that the EV9 has, how it's sort of evolved. Like it's not something they just said, oh, we're going to have this random lighting. Like they had lighting on the K5. They sort of called it like a heartbeat pattern. And then they had a night sky pattern on the K8, which we never got. And then the EV9 now has this star map, and he was talking about the evolution of that design. And I found out I thought this was neat. So you know how they have these really funky wheels lately on the Kia EVs? They're like weird, cool, but they're really different. They have a team that just does wheel design. That's it. That's all they do is design wheels for their EVs because they wanted.
I hope they're called the wheelies.
He did not call them the wheelies, although I guess
I have an EV9 GT line in the driveway right now, and it's got like the ones with the triangle shape.
Yeah.
Wheels. Yeah.
So there's a team that, because we were talking about how some of the elements are really cool in addition to the lighting, and he said, well, the wheels, we actually spend a lot of time on the wheels because you can't do the traditional spoked wheels that you do on other cars because it really kills the aerodynamics, which is super important for an EV because you're trying to have nice and slippery so that you get as much range as possible. And he said they actually decided, instead of just being part of the exterior design team, it's like, nope, you're your own group and you will come up with these cool geometric wheel designs. And he's like, that's a thing. They're going to keep coming up with these because not only do they add functionally to the vehicle, but they really make it look like they're a standout. Like wheels are one of those things, if they're done right, they can be incredibly like striking and really make a car look great. They stand out on the EV9. So I thought that was kind of neat that there's just like, can you imagine what's your job? I design wheels. That's my whole job. Cool. I just focus on wheels all day, a day in, day out. So he talked about the wheel designs, he talked about the lighting designs, and he talked about how, he sees this as sort of where the design is going. What you see when you see EV9, which you first saw with EV6 and then evolve with EV9, this is what you're going to be seeing from Kia. Like the rest of the lineup will eventually, slowly, baby steps, as they change things and introduce new cars and remodel the ones they've got, you're going to see them all going in this direction to match up with this sort of flagship vehicle that's won all the awards on the planet this year. So it was neat to talk to him and really fun, I shouldn't say funny, to see a designer when you ask him questions about his car, they sort of wax poetic about their vehicle. And it makes you appreciate that there's people behind all this stuff. We see metal, we see plastic. There's people that spent all this time, and he definitely made you feel that like, no, there was a team that wanted this vehicle to be something special. And I think they did a great job. So I had a nice chat with him while I was in Korea.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a great trip. Cool cars, fun cars, neat chat with designer, and acorn jelly.
Acorn jelly.
All right. Well, I also took a little trip over the weekend. Went out to Portland, Oregon.
Same as that's America's Korea, by the way.
It's totally the same. You can hardly tell the difference.
But do they have voodoo donuts in Busan?
No, we had really cool dessert though. Don't even get me started. But no,
they probably have donuts. Donuts are international.
They had icy,
but not voodoo donuts.
Like condensed milk and like
donut. I mean, it's just still fried dough.
Fried. So I didn't actually have any fried dough-ish thing, did I? I didn't.
Like a good donut.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
They did have a donut shop advertising.
Like 95% of donuts are just make me feel like I've just eaten a thing of shortening. I'm just like,
well, yeah. Like what else is a donut?
So let me ask a different question. Does Busan have a guy who rides around on a unicycle with a kilt and a Darth Vader helmet and plays the bagpipes with flames shooting out of the bagpipes?
What's he playing?
Not that I'm aware of.
What's he playing with the bagpipe?
He wasn't actually playing when I saw him yesterday. He was stopped to get a snow cone.
That just makes the story even better. He was.
If you're shooting flames out of a bagpipe, that is the perfect. Like, you know what I need? I need a snow cone.
I need a snow cone. I got to cool off.
It's a song of fire and ice, is what it is.
Exactly. You should be playing the theme song from Game of Thrones.
Someone called George R. R. Martin and tell him to get to work on that book.
Anyway, also while I was in Portland, I went out for a little walk on Thursday afternoon, and in the span of 5 minutes, I saw a Cybertruck, and then I saw a guy riding around on a bicycle wearing Apple Vision Pro headset.
Welcome to Portland.
Yeah.
There's got to be a latency factor. And anyway, go on.
Yeah. So the reason I was in Portland was for the Formula E race, which is the electric racing series. It's a global series, and Jaguar has been a participant in Formula E for 8 years now. This is the 10th. They're coming up on the end of the 10th season of Formula E, and it's actually pretty cool racing. But while we were there, had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy, the drivers on the Jaguar team, James Barkley, the team principal. And some of those interviews have been up for a few days now for Wheel Bearings patrons, and they will be coming to the main show over the next couple of weeks. But another conversation that will be part of the show today is one that we had with Rodden Glover, who is the managing director of Jaguar Cars. So he's in charge of all things Jaguar globally. And he talked to us about what Jaguar is going to be doing. And basically, as you described it, Nicole, before we started recording tonight, they're basically burning the whole thing down and starting over again. At the end of this year, they will be they'll start sunsetting all of the current Jaguar models: the I-Pace, the F-Pace, the XF, the E-Pace, I think, and anything else that they might still be building. They're all going away over the next year or so.
They're burning
Get an XF wagon while you can.
Yeah. And then they're going to launch an entirely new lineup of exclusively battery electric vehicles. And Jaguar is never what one would consider, a high volume brand anyway. But
they tried, and I ended up with that car in my driveway. So
yeah, it's good. Anybody wants the next type? Check Robbie's driveway.
Just pick it up. Get that thing out of my goddamn
driveway. Anyway, they're ditching the volume premium segment, and they're going way up market, as a real luxury brand. And over the next 2.5 years, they're going to launch 3 new electric only models, starting with what Rodden described as a 4-door GT car. He didn't really give us any details. We haven't seen what this thing looks like. Later this year, they will start to show us some images of the new design direction. And then sometime in the first half of 2025, we will see the actual first model, the 4-door GT. And then later in the year, towards the end of the next year, it will go into production, followed by a slightly higher volume model, which will probably be some sort of SUV, and then a third model that we don't know. But the prices for these new Jaguars are going up significantly, like somewhere north of $120,000 for all of these models. So they're clearly trying to compete in a very different segment than where Jaguar has been for the last 20, 30 years. And they're starting over as an electric luxury brand.
Do you think it's going to work?
I think the Jaguar has an audience, a market who has money. Mm-hmm. These are people who have money anyway. So if you stop trying to shotgun Jaguar, shoot and catch everyone, if you narrow down your focus and say, we're going to build high-end EVs for distinguished gentlemen, distinguished British gentlemen, and people and Anglophiles. That's your market. That's the people who want a Jaguar. And if you just focus on those people, the ones that have money, I think they're going to be all right. I think the idea that they have to try to be everything to everyone, trying to compete
they don't want to
BMW.
Be Lexus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't
or
want
BMW. Yeah.
Or BMW. And they try to compete with BMW. And again, that X-Type in my damn driveway is what happened.
Is there some place you can donate that thing?
My neighbor's. I'm giving it to my neighbor.
Oh.
I have to take care of some paperwork for it. Yeah, I'm going to sell it to him for so little, like probably like a sandwich. I hope he's not listening to this. If he is, I want 2 sandwiches.
2 PB&Js, you can't have it.
But I think I mean, it's be Bugatti, be the British Bugatti.
I don't think they're going quite that far up market.
Not quite.
Yeah,
not
don't be Bentley, don't be Bentley, don't be Bugatti, but be that little center. What's a automaker who's just right there? Like a Lotus. Just be Lotus. Be classy Lotus.
Be a Lotus.
Yeah. Or, maybe, slightly below Aston Martin.
Yeah, slightly below Aston Martin.
So Jaguar's going to start over. The cars are all going to be built in Britain. They're in the Coventry area. They're not going to be building anything in China. They're not going to have Magna Steyr building anything for them in Austria. They're all going to be built in England. And volumes will be much lower than where they are now. And prices will be much higher. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And everything, all the hardware is being developed in house. They're doing their own motors, their own. They're working with partners on things like electronics, and the big suppliers for batteries. But they're doing a lot of stuff themselves, including they've had an R&D facility in Portland for a number of years where they've been doing work on electronics and software and user experience design, and they showed us some of that stuff. So there's there's potential, and we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna
good luck to them.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna drop the conversation with Rodden in here, and then I think we'll call it a show for this week.
Yeah,
sounds good.
All right,
go to the library.
Yeah, go use go to your library. Check out what kind of stuff they have. Borrow their podcasting room. Record something, or what? Go find their podcasting room. Record us some questions and send them to us.
And send them from your library.
Or a rap, or a song, or a sea shanty as a question. A question in the form of a sea shanty.
If anybody does that, we will absolutely include that.
If you do a question I'll look around my office. I'll just send you something random from my office. It might not be good.
He might
I got a lot of weird stuff.
You're trying to get a Jaguar. Maybe he'll.
That's mean. I'm not. No, this is a reward, not
a punishment.
I'm not a punishment. It's a reward.
Too funny.
Man, I tell you what. If somebody records a question for us in the form of a sea shanty, I will send you a free Wheel Bearings T-shirt.
There you go.
Damn.
I like this. Definitely. Listener challenge. Go, people.
Do it. And, and use some of the other services of your local library. Get some books, sign out some shop manuals for your car, or sign up for Hoopla or Libby, get some audiobooks, and some movies and some TV shows to watch.
There you go.
Bam.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome. Welcome to our new home in Portland. After those previous 2 presentations, I feel a little bit bereft. I've gone fully analog. There is no simulators. There's no incredible. That was beautiful, by the way. Really, some stunning art there. That was, really inspirational. So, I'm just going to maybe talk for a little bit, and then very happy to take questions. Whether it's about the future direction of the Jaguar brand, whether it's how it works with Formula E, really pretty much wherever you want to go. So I guess if we start at the beginning, Jaguar is about to go a complete reinvention. If we look back at Jaguar's history over the last 90 years, for the majority of its history, it has operated in the sort of the luxury space. It was renowned for making beautiful vehicles, very desirable, aspirational vehicles. In the last 25 years or so, we've perhaps been in the more volume premium space. That's not a place we think we should continue to play in. And what we're in the process of doing effectively now is sunsetting all of our current vehicles. So everything we sell today will, at different points around the globe, probably starting the earliest will be the end of this calendar year. We will effectively bring our current business as we know it to a conclusion, and we effectively will start again with Jaguar. We'll start again with a completely re-envisaged range. The range will be EV only, so no plug-in hybrids, no combustion engines, and from a price point, it'll be significantly elevated from where we are today. Going back to think like we're taking Jaguar back to its rightful place. So effectively, we will end up with a much reduced range. So one platform is engineered specifically for us. We call it JEA, Jaguar Electric Architecture. So it's not used by any other manufacturer. It's not used by anybody anywhere else in the group. And that will effectively spawn the first of our three vehicles. The first vehicle that will come to market will be a four-door GT. In terms of price point, it'll start in the US at about $100,000, Joe. But I should have introduced Joe here. Joe's the CEO of North America for Jaguar Land Rover. So we work very closely with Joe's team. So yeah, probably north of $100,000 in terms of the starting price point of the vehicle. So you see it's a quite a significant elevation. I'll talk a little bit about how we've got about it, because it's quite different. But it illustrates, I think, the underlying point that the brand will be design-led. So we started the whole process with effectively a design competition. So we've got quite a significant design resource within the Jaguar Land community. We split them into 3 teams, and then we gave them 18 weeks to basically come up with 3 body styles. So they were given pretty much free rein. They weren't given any architectural constraints. So it wasn't like this is the platform, this is therefore this is the wheelbase or whatever else. They were basically said it needs to be modern, it needs to be exuberant, and it needs to be fearless. It needs to be a real transformation in terms of where we're going to go. So in the space of, I guess, probably about 3 months, we then ended up with close to 20 full-size plays, which was the way we construct all our vehicles, which are obviously then painted, etc. So they look pretty much like finished vehicles, but they're not working. That level of creative exploration is not really, we've never done that anywhere before. I don't think any other, we haven't, and it's not the place to start generally, but it's the place where we felt we wanted to start. Of all of that creative output, it was very, very clear there was one design language that was head and shoulders above everything else we'd seen. It was head and shoulders above because it was very bold. It had a very clear family resemblance, but the vehicles within the family were able to have sufficient differentiation to come and live on their own. And probably more than anything else, the design themselves lived up to, there was a quote that we gave to the designers. So the founder of Jaguar, Sir William Lyons, he uses this sort of slightly tautological expression that but basically says Jaguar is at its very best when it's a copy of nothing. Meaning when the whole world is going in one direction, actually we're going to carve our own path. We're going to do our own thing. And where we've ended up is very much a copy of nothing in terms of the design language. And what we've then effectively is work out, okay, well, if that's the design language, we then effectively designed a platform around it, and the engineering task is to basically retain the design integrity of the design language. So it's quite a different process to how OEMs normally go about it. I first saw the cars probably 2.5 years ago, and I was like, okay, that's great, that's cool, but you wait until they go through crash and aero and all this sort of stuff. Well, actually, the first car is, I mean, Joe, you're saying they're pretty much identical to the design vision in terms of its design integrity. So we're very excited about what that gives us in terms of a proposition, particularly in the EV space. I our view of the EV space, it's getting very generic. It's getting quite homogenous. It's very cab forward. If it's all about, if you want great range, you need amazing aero. So they're all about, they've just been designed in a wind tunnel. So it starts to become, there's not a great deal of differentiation. So our vehicles are not cab forward. We've got a very exuberant proportions, and as a consequence, don't actually look like any of the other electric vehicles that are on the roads at the moment. So we think that's the right thing to do. And again, in terms of that spirit of, being a copy of nothing and carving our own path and being confident in actually what we're doing, because ultimately we think great design will win. Now, with great design, they've got to have great technology and first-class engineering. We're really confident about the engineering that's going into the car. So obviously, first question with an EV, what's the range going to be? Well, EPA range will be in excess of 700 kilometers, so 720 miles in old money. Charging speed, it'll be rapid, 80% charge in 20 minutes off a rapid charger, and fully compatible with the next charging. So in terms of access to the Tesla supercharging network, it's fully configured for that. We will also come to market with a full range of electrification services because, again, I think when you're an EV-only brand, you need to, whether that's home charging, whether that's public aggregation charging. We're looking at concierge charging, so somebody to actually come and actually charge your car overnight from a charging facility, all the way through to destination charging and basically making sure we've got presence in high-profile locations. So that's the journey that the brand is on. In terms of we've been on this for about 3 years now. We're rapidly coming to the point where we can break cover. So what I'd love to be able to do now is say, well, that's what we mean by exuberant, but you're just going to have to bear with us a little bit longer for that, but not too much longer. So we will, as we get towards the second half of this year, we'll start to be much more public about the brand itself and how the Jaguar brand is going to change, because that's probably a really important thing. It's to have the type of transformation in one product cycle that we're going for. We can't just change the product. We've got to change the whole brand world. We've got to change the way we position it, the way we market it. We've got to change the way we sell the car, the type of experiences that we have, how our retail network footprint will change. So it is an entire brand transformation, not just, we've got one product range today, we've got another one coming. So we will start sort of breaking cover towards the end of the year about the brand. And then at the end of the year in the US, we will then unveil the design language. So in terms of the language that basically will effectively underpin all Jaguars to come, we will show at the end of this year. And then into next year, we will then preview the first car that's going to go on sale, the four-door GT. And then we will be delivering vehicles in North America in the back end of 25. So the journey that, again, feels like we've been undercover for a long time. We've kind of announced our intention to transform Jaguar way back when we first started talking about the overall corporate reimagine strategy. That's very much coming to a reality, and you will be able to see, I guess, the outcome of that in not too long to come. So at a high level, again, without any Gen AI or any simulators, that's really the direction that we're taking the brand in. Very happy to take. I mean, I'm with you for dinner tonight as well. But if there's any questions you have about anything I've said, straight away.
So only 3 models. Yes. Besides the 4-door GT, what other form factors do you expect to incorporate?
We haven't gone public yet with with the other models, but I guess where you would look to is where is the volume market for EVs in excess of $100,000 in terms of the body style. So that will give you an indication as to, I guess, the type of styles we're going to have.
And in terms of volume, what kind of volume do you foresee for this reimagined brand going forward?
significantly less than the volumes that Jaguar has been.
Sub 100,000 units, sub 50,000?
Sub 100,000 units, yeah.
Okay. And, upwards of 100,000 for this first model.
What will be in that price point?
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, kind of what is the range? Is it like 100,000 to 3, 4, or, in the 100 to 200 range?
No, all three models, plus, actually, they're all the second and the third model are slightly more expensive, but it's the similar price point, and they'll have a stretch from 100 to about 180 in the US, Joe, or something like that.
Yep.
In terms of that, but the center of gravity will probably be around 130.
And by 2026, would you expect to have revealed all three of them?
By 2026, we'd be on sale with the first. We would have revealed the second, but not the third by that stage.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to hog it. I mean,
Jaguar is fully committed to be only electric. Other brands are saying that they want to wait and play the market as it comes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mistake to say we want to do all electric, even though all the sales are down. Electric, a lot of people that bought electric cars now they say, no, we want to go back to ICE things.
I think at a corporate level. So again, we will be, we're not going to be mass market in terms of the volumes. We've indicated that. Across the entire enterprise of Jaguar Land Rover, across all of our 4 brands, we clearly will be looking at that very carefully in terms of, okay, exactly how long do our ICE platforms, how long do our Flex platforms need to go on for? So that's a very live question for us, as it would be for, I guess it is for all OEMs. For Jaguar, we think it's the right decision. The other thing is that the decisions you make on a platform, that's not a decision you can reverse. It's very easy to say for us, very easy. It's possible for us to say, yeah, should we extend that platform? Should we delay that platform? Those are all decisions. Once you commit to a platform, then actually you're committed to it. It's not like, okay, we love the design, but now let's stick a V8 in the front. It's just not technically feasible for us. Am I concerned about that? Well, obviously, it would be lovely to think that, the BEV forecasts are going ahead of where we thought, but I think the place where we will be playing, the vehicle is unlikely to be the only vehicle in the household. First point. So actually, it's then about what's the what's the use case I'm using for today. The other barriers, in fact, Joe and I were talking to a number of US clients, was it yesterday? It's been a long week, yesterday. Once you get in excess of 400-mile range and the type of charge speed that we're doing, a lot of the barriers today, because a lot of the barriers really are linked to infrastructure and confidence in that range. But actually, once you get to 400 miles, even in a country as big as the US, actually that starts to transform some of the barriers, we think. And I guess ultimately, when you see the designs, you see what we're trying to do. The type of people we will be marketing to, it's a case of, well, what am I going to buy? What do I want to do with my money? Do I want to have one of these incredible new Jaguars? Do I want to basically buy something else in that? It's not just going to be, it's not a commodity vehicle. So it's very much in that sense around, for high net worth individuals, we've just got to make the most incredible, desirable car, we think.
Yeah, I think I would add maybe that the way we look at electrification is not as the driver for the brand reinvention, but the enabler. And what I mean by that is it's the car, the product, the design first and foremost. It's the most beautiful car. And then the question ultimately is, well, how do you make it the best driving and the best, the quietest car on top of it? So we haven't started out by saying this needs to be an EV. It needs to be the most beautiful car possible. And you'll see that across the other brands as well later going forward, when we launched the first Range Rover that follows exactly that same philosophy. It's not an electric Range Rover, it's the best Range Rover. It's a Range Rover first and foremost. It just happens to be powered by an electric.
So in the Jaguar context, the kind of proportions and what we're able to deliver in terms of the design is absolutely enabled by the fact that it's a skateboard in terms of where the powertrain is. And as then Joe says, what we're actually going to deliver in terms of a driving experience is electric clearly has a lot of advantages in that context. So again, it will also be the most powerful Jaguar ever. So there will be 1,000 PS version that we will sell. So it'll be the fastest and the most powerful Jaguar. And I think coupled with all of those things, we think it has a place even in a market that perhaps is not racing as fast as some people thought it might be at this stage. And also it's a global product. So again, the EV adoption is operating at very different paces in different countries. That's the other aspect.
Of the three models you were talking about, why would you pick a Ford or GT first? Is that like the ultimate expression, the new language? Is it?
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's it. It's basically it's the purest interpretation of the design. I mean, all of the vehicles have a very consistent design family feel, but in terms of the purest and actually we felt as a brand statement, starting with that rather than perhaps the highest volume seller was the right place to start. It's just got to be desirable. It's got to be a car that's achingly desirable. And that's really what we've got to create.
Who do you see as the competition is in this new space for Gala?
Well, it's definitely when people see the vehicles in clinics, as an example, the presence, the scale, the sort of the presence is probably the best word. The type of brands that are talked about, brands like Rolls-Royce, Bentley, etc. It's in that sort of physical presence. But actually, from a price point of view, it takes you into the Ford or GT is in the price point of the Taycan, for example, broadly.
From a technology standpoint, is the platform all the technology developed in-house at JLR? Or are you partnering with others to bring in technology to integrate into this platform?
So a lot. I mean, we talked about our partnership with NVIDIA. So a lot of the underlying system enablers that will be in across the vehicles, we will be leveraging. So yeah, a lot of
things like propulsion, batteries.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those will be common. The architecture itself is unique, so that's really what drives the proportions and the shape of the vehicle. But in terms of the technologies, so for example, what powers the HMI, the latest generation of PV Pro will be consistent across JLR. We will basically make sure that the way we execute that and deliver that is very, very feels like Jaguar, but the backbone, the technological backbone, is common to the vehicles that will be coming from the brands further down the track.
And then presumably that's also shared across the Land Rover, Range Rover vehicles.
Yeah.
And Jaguar is always the brand has always been associated with being a driver's vehicle.
Yeah.
And is that still the case with these new vehicles? Is it designed to be driven or to be driven in?
I think certainly the first vehicle is all about, they will all drive, they'll all have great driving characteristics. So the first car, as an indication, the driving position. So in terms of the driving position, the relationship between sort of hip, knee and ankle is really important. And that's identical to what we have today in the F-Type, because we felt the F-Type as a driver's car was just the right balance of, it's a great car to drive. It's not an out-and-out kind of sports car, but it's a beautiful GT touring car, which we felt would give us the right driving position. And then we build on the driving position. So yeah, the whole thing is very much a driver's car. They will have slightly different characteristics across the three cars. And the first car will probably be the purest in that sense. But yeah, all of them need to be good cars to drive.
You continue to support the older legacy Jaguar vehicles after?
Yeah, really good question, actually. Absolutely. Yeah, fundamental. So whether it's service requirements, used car sales, looking after, we've got hundreds of thousands of customers across the globe driving our vehicles today. And actually the network is committed to continue to look after those. Same for us in terms of our parts inventory, making sure that we're making sure that we've got we can supply aftermarket parts for the reasonable life of those vehicles as they go forward. So that will absolutely continue. So yeah, if you're a customer of ours today, you can absolutely have confidence that you'll be looked after in the Ford, whatever the requirements is. Yeah.
And also, as well as you owning the platform, you can be making a battery and the tech around it as well. And how does that work?
So ultimately, the battery in the medium term will be part of our relationship with Tata, with Agratas, and then there's an interim solution until they come on stream. So we're partnering for that. Yeah.
And where will the vehicles be built?
Vehicles were built in Solihull. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So literally, the industrialization is going up at the moment. So all of the building works enabling a bespoke industrial footprint for us to build those vehicles there. So they're designed in the UK, they're built in the UK, which again, I think it's a key part of the brand.
Okay. And finally, the target market that you're going after, do you feel they actually care about that level of power? You take it 1,000 per hand. Do they care about that sort of stuff, or are you looking at because the vehicle required it?
I think in terms of the target client, we think the target client will be probably younger, more urban than what we have today. And in terms of there'll be a range of outputs. The highest output will be 1,000 PS. It's not the vehicle that everybody's going to buy, but actually being able to have the purest embodiment of that vehicle, we think there's a number of people that will want actually the most power, the greatest acceleration, the greatest VMAX capability, and all of those things. So we think for a proportion of the audience that will be attractive, but it won't be for everybody.
And so, last one. It's like the STR, might of the modern version. Are you going to have something similar in that segment as well?
Very much under discussion at the moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would love for.
Do you expect to have more new clients to the brand, conquering new clients, or the ones that they already own?
Yeah, another good question. So yes, we expect 10 to 15% of our current client base probably to come from existing Jaguar drivers. We then think there is a great opportunity with us where for example, our Range Rover and top-end Defender customers are very often multi-car households. We know these people, have already known it, they're already known to us, so that's an opportunity for us. And then the remainder will be confidence. So it's a big, but relative to probably any other Range Rover, for example, that we would be launching, this will be a large focus on conquest.
Do you think there's, obviously with the racing side of things, there's all the successes there. Is there a way to kind of leverage that? Is that a new target base, your customers, the people that have come into Jaguar through the racing side? And then
I think longer term, yes, because if you look at the age profile of particularly the people that view Formula E, they tend to be much younger. So not people that are coming into the purchase window, even though we will take the brand to a younger audience. I think if there were a few generations, but the very fact that people have grown up watching Jaguar cars do incredible things on the track and hopefully winning, no pressure. Nice to conclude it this weekend. So that's part of it. I think the bigger play for us, and I'm sure when you met the team and if you talk to James tonight, the big opportunity for us is the tech transfer. So as an EV only brand, the things that we can learn on the track and the transferability from race to road in an EV context is actually much more straightforward than it is perhaps in some of the other forms of racing. So in terms of managing heat, in terms of managing the efficiency of things like the inverters, you can put those parts of our vehicles under huge stress because they're going at great speed, great heat, they've got huge voltages going through them. And actually, if you can prove it out in those environments, the ability to then transfer that onto the road car and basically give you either extra range or high VMAX, whatever else it might be, that's quite a I'd say quite straightforward. If the engineers were here, they crucify me, but it's actually quite manageable. Same thing, we've got our things like our transmission fluid. We pioneered that on the racetrack. That will then go into the cars. So There are lots of things where actually I think it gives us a real head start, and that's why we think part of the reason we've got such credible EPA range on the vehicle is we've been able to
learn. So you've already incorporated lessons from the Formula E program in this new platform?
Yeah, all of those, So the things that, for example, I use with silicon carbide, the transmission fluid, what we're doing in terms of how we're managing heat on the chipsets, that's all directly going through onto the new vehicles. Yeah.
And the Pipi Pro infotainment system, is that still the way forward for Jaguar?
It will. I mean, it's a little bit like your question around we will leverage operating systems across the group, even though it's a dedicated architecture, the operating systems come in, but actually how we execute Pipi Pro from a UX UI. So interesting to see the presentation earlier on. Again, will be completely different in terms of how we present that to the client, and actually a much greater level of differentiation than we probably deliver today.
Okay. Not so important question, but it's so big design. I was going to keep the big cat under the there's the logo, or are we sorry more than that?
Yes. To us, that has been a real bone of debate. We will be retaining the Leaper, but in the same way that we are reimagining the brands, the Leaper has also had a reimagination as well, which is quite exciting, and also how we use the Leaper in the vehicle. So yeah, I look forward to telling you about it.
What about China? A lot of non-Chinese OEMs, is so much increasing competition there, and Chinese OEMs are really coming on strong, and especially even in premium segments of the market. Do you expect the new Jaguar to be able to compete in China?
I think the Chinese market is really interesting, and from my perspective, I think it absolutely validates where we're going with the brand, because where the new BEV entrants, particularly the full electric entrants are operating, it's really probably between sort of 25 and the volume is between sort of $25,000 and $40,000, I guess, say, or pounds, round numbers, and they're offering actually credible designs, reasonable fit and finish, good technology, and some really interesting kind of quirky things as well, which is quite sort of eye-catching. So in the volume brands, if I was in the volume space, when they turn their attention, however the trade wars and everything else pan out, but in terms of how that would be making me feel very uncomfortable, because their ability to compete at the same price point would be really challenged. What also then happens, if that's happening in the volume space, at the lower end of the premium space, it gets affected by that, because clients will be going, well, I can get all of this in this BYD or whichever brand you wanted to take, and I only get that in my luxury car. Is that enough of a differentiation? So it definitely bleeds into the bottom end of the premium volume market. But what those brands don't have is they don't have brands, they don't have provenance, they don't have history. And if you look at the world of luxury generally, if you look at the world of automotive luxury generally, brands that do well in the very, very high price points, they do it because they've got a brand. And I think if you're a commodity in that space, and it's kind of marketing 101, commodities all going to become about that. It will all become about price. And that's probably not a battle I think a lot of the brands in that space want to be. So for me, it absolutely validates why you want to distance yourself from that completely. And you're right, there are some luxury new Chinese entrants going in at that, but they're quite few and far between. And even in China, they're not really landing, because actually at that price point, the Chinese customer is very brand savvy. And actually, if you look at outside of automotive, if you look at, where the brands like Louis Vuitton sell the most product, they're selling that in China. They're not buying the brand new Chinese version of that, because they want the original. They want something with heritage and provenance, and which is why partly our racing history is really important. So it's some of the iconic vehicles we've had in the past, and we will lean into that at different points in terms of how we market the brand. Because again, whilst the product will be a big elevation, it would be folly of us not to draw upon that really rich history we've got, because in one sense, that's one of the things that will differentiate us from exactly that threat that you describe.
Will you be looking at things like more customization, more sort of bespoke surfaces? Because that's another thing you see.
In the life cycle, yes, because I think you're absolutely right. In that space, limited runs, we're doing it very effectively at the moment with Range Rover, where it's bespoke or just very, very limited runs at an elevated price within very differentiated paints, finishes, materials, etc. So that's definitely something we'd look to do in the life cycle, yeah. I've got a feeling I'm probably in between you and a cocktail. And a fabulous. I've told Drew was telling me it's the best restaurant in North America, so quite excited. So anyway, I'm here all evening. Thank you very much for your engagement. Great questions. And look forward to telling you more over the months between now and the full launch. But thank you for your interest. We appreciate it.
Looking forward to see it. Yeah. Pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.